And I'm on this show right now.
Hi, it's Rochelle Hughes.
Hi, I'm Astro. And I'm Alex from UB40.
Hello, it's Amanda Holden here.
Thursday breakfast on Source FM with Benjamin Makin. Good morning. How are you doing? Thank you very much for joining me today on your Thursday morning Source FM breakfast show. This show, as always, is brought to you by the University of Exeter. I'm Ben Makin. I'm delighted that you are here. Right, what have we got for you this morning? I'm on until 9 o'clock today, and we have got numerous very special guests for you today. So, not only do we have the fabulous, the fantastic Professor Dave Hosken of the University of Exeter. Today, you've probably heard of natural selection, I'm sure, and you probably have a good idea of what that is in the biosciences. But today, Professor Hosken is explaining the much more mysterious sexual selection. Ben, what was that? Sexual selection? Yes, it's not a Marvin Gaye song. It is, in fact, a real biological concept, and Dave is going to explain it to us today. So expect to hear from Dave a bit later on this morning about that. We'll also be touching on some related kind of concepts in the biosciences. Some questions. Why do males tend to be more ornamented in nature? Why can't you be good at everything? Why can't organisms in nature be good at everything? Also, we touch on aliens because obviously, right? And we're going to Dave's, I basically probe into his personal life a bit, right? Don't worry, nothing too serious, nothing too far. I just wondered why he became a biologist. So we'll be hearing from Dave. Dave is one of our top academics at the University of Exeter, so look forward to hearing from him. You may have heard him before in debates with Sasha Doyle, Prof Doyle from the University of Exeter as well. They are show regulars. But Dave is solo today. Epic stuff, so look forward to that. He's also got a song request, a real song request this time as well. I'm not just going to choose one for him. How good's that? So that's great. But we also have the fantastic pop superstar Jamelia on the show later as well. Yes, you may know Jamelia, and if you don't, then go and listen right away. She's fantastic. You may know the song Superstar. That is the greatest song of all time. Jamelia's on the show later. We're going to be chatting, having a good laugh about the upcoming Mamma Mia, which is out tomorrow. Yes, the new Mamma Mia film. Fantastic. We also have a former England cricketer on the show with us today, which I'm delighted about. Ebony Rainford-Brent. She was actually the first black woman to play for the England team. She was also captain of the Surrey women's team, which is fantastic. She was actually a member of the England team that actually won the 9th World Cup. So that's pretty fantastic, isn't it? Now, if we have time today, also, I would love to get on 2 fantastic authors on today as well. L.J. Ross, Louise Ross. She's the best-selling author of the DCI Ryan series of romantic suspense thrillers. I don't know if you've come across those before, but her debut novel, Holy Islands, was released in 2015, and it actually reached #1 in the Amazon UK chart. So it's a fantastic series of books. We also have, alongside Louise, actually David Leadbeater, who actually won the Amazon prize for his Matt Drake action-adventure series. His novel, The Relic Hunters, recently won this prize, the Amazon Kindle Storyteller Award. This award is running this year as well, so for any budding writers out there, hopefully this section should be interesting to you. They're going to tell us a little bit about their own novels, their own series, and a little bit about how any writers can get involved with that prize. So if I'm speaking to any budding writers today, then hopefully that bit might interest you. Or if not, then at least we can chat to the authors about their books. So it could interest you if you're thinking about picking up some books for the summer holidays. Oh yes, right, shall we get kicked off then? I think it's about time, don't you? So I think I would actually really like to start today with this former England cricketer, Ebony. She's fantastic, and today she's actually encouraging all women and all girls to get involved with cricket. She's involved with the hashtag No Boundaries campaign. So let's get a ride on, and let's get some wicked tunes on as well straight after. So thanks again for joining me today. Hope you enjoyed the show, and as always, if it's not to your taste, then just pop me a text. Say, Ben, come on now, get more Rod Stewart on. I'll understand. I understand, honestly. But for now, let's continue with the show. Thursday breakfast on Source FM.
Hi Ben, how
Hello.
you doing?
Yeah, I'm fine, thanks. You all right?
Yeah, good, thank you.
Good. I'm sorry to capture you for the radio so early in the morning. It's very evil of me, that, isn't it?
No worries, no worries. I'm definitely not on a morning bird, but I'll because of you, Ben.
Well, thank you. That's very, very kind of you. I wonder, Ebony, if first of all you could just say your full name and introduce yourself to our listeners, just so they know who they're listening to, if that's all right.
Yeah, no worries. My name's Ebony Rainford-Brent, former England cricketer, now commentator and general lover of the game.
Fantastic. Now, this is an absolutely brilliant campaign that you're involved with, Ebony, here. The hashtag No Boundaries in Cricket, encouraging women to play cricket. And you know what? I immediately, when I saw this campaign, actually, it immediately made me think of a really related issue that I come from a kind of science background myself, and we face a very similar issue with women in STEM. So I just think it's so worth pressing issues like this, isn't it?
It is. I think what's so nice is just to see the progress, because, I know 20 years ago starting in the game of cricket that, women didn't necessarily think things were possible, achievable to be a professional cricketer, to be a coach, a commentator, an umpire, whatever it might be. And I'm sure it's the same in your field, that now things are starting to move. There's still a lot more to go, there's no doubt about it, but I think cricket's had a kind of an amazing moment, especially with that packed out Lords last year at the World Cup.
Yes.
And how many odd people, millions watching globally, and just to see, the young girls being able to see that. It's so nice to know that now 70% of girls feel that cricket is for them. And, I know it wasn't like that when I started. It was definitely considered a male-dominated sport. So I think this campaign is just about building on that and building the awareness as much as possible. And it's just great to see that so much momentum has happened.
That's fantastic. And Ebony, if you don't mind me asking, I mean, what was it like for you when you were first starting out in what was kind of traditionally, as you say, kind of male-dominated, unfortunately?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, there weren't many clubs for girls, so I played a lot as the only girl in a team. Actually, there was a point where I used to, put my hair under a cap to pretend I was a boy. Especially in the early years of development, you could get away with it.
Yes.
And generally it's because you could to do your best to fit in, because it was awkward being a girl on your own. And, the older you got, you had a lot of comments about, girls where they should be in their place. And, it took a lot of resilience to be able to handle those challenges. And I know that's not unique. I speak to the players like Catherine Brunt now, Catherine Cross. You speak to a lot of the girls, and they had a similar experience of being the only girl in a boys' club. What's completely shifted now is the landscape in terms of club cricket. And these young girls are growing up with, access to either, clubs which are girl only, or they're in an environment where it's much more acceptable to be a girl and boys running around and playing at the same time. So things have changed so much in terms of the access. And, I know how hard it was as a kid. And what's really nice to know now is that when I was younger, my role model was an Alex Stewart, as an example. Now, girls and boys' role models are Sarah Taylors. They're the new generation of female cricketers out there, and they can genuinely become professional as well. So it's massively changed, and it's so exciting to see.
Oh, that's fantastic. Yeah, as you say, it's so encouraging to see this. And I've got some stats in front of me here, and it looks like NatWest's recent report, actually 70% of girls between the ages of 10 and 22 viewing cricket as a sport for everyone. So presumably that's massively increased, massively up.
Yeah, I think that number when I heard it, literally threw me, because I thought it'd be progress. I didn't think it would be that many, and I think that's obviously the World Cup as well, that so many could literally turn on their TV channels, on their radio, and it was there for them to see. It was on all the papers, and I think that must have changed perceptions. And also what's nice to hear is there's an 18% uptake since last year in terms of participation. And that's, again, you think with 200 plus 1,000 girls playing, that's a massive number. So just to see that number increasing so rapidly, I think that's what's exciting to me, is that if this work, these campaigns continue, another 5 years or so, it'll be a completely different landscape. So many players coming through, young players like Sophie Eccleston coming through, lots of young cricketers. Heather Knight's maybe the closest to your way. I think she's from Devon, not quite your way, but she's
nearly
your closest. So yeah, you can claim her, take her as one of yours.
We will.
But yeah, they're back to where the best. And I think this series against New Zealand for the championship, they've got 3 ODIs now. This is going to be kind of the marker, because they've got the T20 World Cup in a few months' time in West Indies. So, if they can get this kind of back to their full formula, back to full force, I think they'll be favourites for that tournament as well.
Oh, that's fantastic. And I was thinking, because has been such nice weather recently. I just think it'd be great if any schools happen to come across this campaign and think, oh, hang on, we could have a little cricket tournament with our girls in our school. I think that would be awesome if kind of more schools could get involved as well.
Yeah,
hearing from people like yourself.
That's what's so nice is Chance of Shine have been working with NatWest on this partnership as well, and Chance of Shine have been getting into so many schools, over 2 million kids have participated, and these numbers are just improving. So I think any schools as well who are interested, and this is a bad thing to say, but I know that rounders has been taken off the curriculum. I've been desperate for cricket to just take over any rounders, full stop. And schools are now getting on board with that. And the reason why I say it is not to disparage rounders at all, is because cricket generally now is a pathway that I think offers full professionalism. So if a young girl has that skill set to strike a ball or throw a ball, I say get her into an opportunity. And now it's been taken off the curriculum. Schools are starting to buy into cricket a lot more. So I know that sounds naughty. Anyone who loves rounders, I am sorry. But for me, I'm a passionate cricket fan.
No, that's understandable. And of course, there's always local cricket clubs as well, isn't there? For anyone who, perhaps if any girls are listening in, and they think, oh yeah, I'll try my hand at that. There's always local clubs you can go and check out, isn't there?
Yeah, there's so many. I mean, that's what's so nice, is the amount of clubs that have grown over the years. And there's also more support. You look at the Cricket Force, program as well that goes in and helps kind of rejuvenate club scenes. So, there's so much to access. There's all-stars going on. So I just think now that there are more setups available. There's more funding available to improve it. So it's just an exciting time. And one thing I'm going to pick up on, Ben, though, this is for your region. Apparently only 7% down your way have an interest in cricket, but 21% like football. So I'm just going to challenge out to your guys and say, come on, a few more. I would like to see that in the next couple of years, up to sort of 15% or so loving the game of cricket. Oh,
we're not doing well down here. We're too busy eating our Cornish pasties, aren't we?
The sun's shining as well. I can imagine you want to be on the beach as well.
Oh, that is not good. Perhaps, if it's okay with you, we'll have to invite you at a later date, and hopefully that 7% is up significantly.
Brilliant.
Well, Ebony, thanks very much indeed for your time today. Really do appreciate it. I would just really like, actually, just to ask you really if you've got any kind of key messages. I mean, I know we've already been chatting all about this, haven't we? But any key messages for you to get out there, really. And then, I'll begin to let you go. Of course, I know your time is short.
No worries. I think it's just the key thing is just to say that that number of 70% of girls who genuinely now believe sport is for everyone. That's massive, and I think it's for us to build on that as much as possible. Keep up, building those role models, opportunities, everything that can be invested. And also the girls are saying that they'll enjoy it more if they can do it with their friends, and there's that community. So I think it's about building around those clubs and the school environments as well. So anything you guys can do to keep with the message, I think it'll be really appreciated.
Absolutely. Well, thank you very much. Thank you very much indeed, Ebony. You know what? I'd actually love to give you, just to finish up with, if it's all right with you, a song choice. I don't know if you have any songs that you've got off the top of your head.
So what? It's early in the morning. I don't know. I'm not feeling a rocky song. I'm feeling maybe some sort of Lionel Richie.
Oh, yeah. Okay,
is that all right? Is that too old school?
No, that's ideal for a morning. I can tell you.
Yeah, just anything by Lionel Richie. I don't know. That really randomly came to my head, but it feels like that sort of day. So.
Oh, that's always a good choice. Lionel is always an absolutely most welcome, isn't it? On any playlist, really. Well, Ebony, thanks very much. Now, those of you listening in, I bet you all love a good sing-along, don't you? Yeah, which is why you all absolutely adored Mamma Mia 10 years ago. Can you believe that? 10 years ago that the first film was released. Well, guess what? Mamma Mia, Here We Go Again, is out tomorrow in cinemas. So if you want to sing along to a bit of ABBA, then you know what to do, right? I mean, you can sing it along in your car right now if you want. I tell you what, shall I get some on for you? Then you can have a proper sing-along, can't you? Yeah, I'll get some on for you. But I tell you what, first of all, I would love to invite to the show now the fantastic, the pop superstar, Jamelia. Me and Jamelia, right, we had an absolutely cracking chat about the Mamma Mia film. She's a big fan, so you know what? Let's get her straight on the show, shall we? All right, here goes. Jamelia, can you hear me? Hello.
I can hear you. How are you?
Oh, I'm very well, thank you. This is well, it's so good to have you here. I can tell you that.
Oh.
Can I just say, Superstar is the greatest song of all time.
Oh, stop it. Thank you very much. You're lying, but thank you.
No, it's not a lie at all. I wonder if you could give us because you know what? my colleagues were very excited when I said that we had you on the show with us. I wonder if you could give Source FM a little shout out for us.
Of course I can.
Excellent.
Of course. Do you want me to sing it?
Yeah, go for it. That'd be wicked.
I don't know what it is that makes me feel like this. I don't know who you are, but Source FM, you all are superstars.
Oh, thank you very much. Wow, on
You're
tap
welcome.
as well. I can't believe that's on tap. That's brilliant.
No problem.
Well, a very warm welcome to Jamelia. This is fantastic. Thank you. And this is a great film as well that we're chatting about today, isn't it?
I'm so excited. So basically, Mamma Mia, Here We Go Again is out on Friday, and I am so excited. I have a special connection to this film because it's all about female solidarity. I am very close with my mom. It's kind of celebrating the relationship between moms and daughters. Now, I'm close with my mom, I'm close with my nan, but not only that, I've got 3 daughters myself. So that whole line of strong female relationships is very applicable to me. So I'm really excited about the film. I'm really excited about going to see it. I'm going to go and see it on Friday with my girls. As I said, we've already booked the tickets, went to myview.com, logged on, and booked our tickets, and we're going to go and see it. And I'm trying to encourage everybody else to go and watch it because I just think it's really important for us to celebrate these relationships in our own lives and also have a bit of a sing song as well. I think,
yes,
it'll be fun.
Yeah, exactly. I just can't believe that the first one was back in 2008, like 10 years ago. That's crazy, isn't it? I remember watching the first.
I'm not going to lie. I should be used to situations making me feel old now, but the fact that it did come out then, and I can remember watching it and being excited about it. The only difference is that my daughters probably weren't as kind of related to it at the time. Now, my eldest 2 anyway, they're 17 and 12. They'll totally get it. We'll totally enjoy it together, and I think it's going to be brilliant.
Fantastic, because this one really does focus in even more, I think, on the even on the screen on the mother-daughter relationship, doesn't it? More so than the first film.
Well, yeah. I hope I'm not giving too much away, but Sophie's pregnant in this, who's the daughter,
yes,
and also Donna, who is the mom. Her mother is also in it, who's played by Cher, who is like 3 years older than Meryl Streep.
Yes.
It's brilliant. I'm really excited, but a 3-year-old grandmother, I'm not sure about that. but it's Hollywood. It's fine. We can we'll subscribe. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, we'll turn a blind eye to that one. It's all right.
Yeah.
You know what? My partner and I actually we've always had a fierce debate about who is more handsome, Colin Firth or Pierce Brosnan. I don't know where you stand on this debate. I'm going to go with Pierce Brosnan. I'm going to have to say.
I think I'd have to go for Colin Firth.
Yeah.
And just because, so this is going to sound really weird, but he plays the dad in one of my favourite films, Nanny McPhee.
Oh, of course, yeah.
And I just love his character, so I'm completely biased.
Oh, fantastic! Yeah, he's a very charming man. He's got a fantastic accent, hasn't he?
Yeah, he has.
I don't think this is fair though. Pierce, his you've probably heard about this, but his singing SOS in the first film, the critics absolutely bashed that. I think that's unfair.
I know. What the thing is, it's like we have to remember that these are not like professional singers,
exactly.
and for me, one of the really beautiful things about ABBA songs is that feeling that I can join in. I don't have to be the best singer in the world, and I hate when they kind of when people are horrible about people not being able to sing. To me, singing is a therapeutic experience and something that should be enjoyed by all, not just those who are, specifically talented. I mean, I'm not the best dancer. If you watch Strictly, you'll know that. But I still had a go. I enjoyed it, and I encourage that.
Well, Jamelia, you tried loads of things. You're even on Bear Grylls. That's awesome.
Oh yes, exactly. Exactly. I mean, and that part of that was about facing fears. Facing my fears and doing something that I've, said I wouldn't do. I did about 100 things that I said I'd never do, and I'm much better for it. So yeah, I'm not about banning anything for anyone. If you want to dance, if you want to sing, go and do it. If you want to jump out of a helicopter with a safety gear. Do it.
Fantastic. Well, actually, I must say I've got a fantastic relationship with my mum as well. You know what, we like to send pictures of llamas or alpacas to each other. That's our favourite thing to do.
Okay. I mean, yeah, I'm sure you've got your reasons.
You get honestly, you get hooked on it. If you start looking up like alpacas and llamas, funny llamas, then you will get hooked and you'll end up sending them to all your friends. Just try it.
Oh gosh, you might be starting something here.
Yeah, honestly, give it a shot. And you know, I'd absolutely love to go to where, because it's the filming location is absolutely beautiful, isn't it? In Mamma Mia, it really is.
Yeah,
I don't know if I'm saying this right, but I think it's Scop Hill or Island. I think a lot of the filming's done, but anyway, it's beautiful, so beautiful, isn't it?
It is gorgeous. I mean, I remember the scenery in the first film, and it's really funny whenever you see kind of write-ups about the film this time around. It's like it looks like a holiday brochure. I'm just like, I have to go. I don't think I've been to Greece before, so definitely put that on my bucket list.
No, same here. No, I've never been, but I'd love
Maybe
to.
they could do like a Mamma Mia tour.
Oh,
You know, and you go like to all the locations.
that would be amazing. You can even sing songs at the right bits
my
as well.
goodness. I think that you and I should team up and organise this, and yeah, I think we should do it.
I am so up for it. And they could even play for kind of like hardcore mode where they do Bear Grylls style stuff as well.
Okay, you're spoiling it now. I mean, as I said, facing my fears. I only want to face my fears once, and then just to say I've done it.
Oh, it's fantastic. Well, you know what? I've actually got I've got the little clip of Pierce singing here, and I think, should we give it just a very quick listen?
Go on then.
Let's give it a really quick listen.
So when you're near me, darling, can't you hear me? SOS.
See, that's not that bad at all.
That's not. I am not offended by it at all. I think it is lovely, and he sounds like he's really going for it as well.
Exactly.
And, you know, it's not for us to decide whether or not someone should sing. You know, it's up to him. He's not trying to sell his own albums, is he? Leave him alone.
Exactly. And plus, Pierce is the best Bond in my opinion. GoldenEye is my favourite.
Do you know what? I mean, I'm a massive James Bond fan, and I kind of agree.
Yeah.
I really think he was brilliant, and I was gutted that he didn't stay on for longer.
I just think he absolutely owned the kind of eyebrow move. Do you know what I mean?
He is Bond. Like, he is. He definitely was reminiscent of, you know, your Roger Moores and Sean Connerys. I loved him. Yeah,
fantastic.
It's much better than that one that I can't even remember his name.
Yeah, someone.
You know who I'm talking about, though.
Yeah, probably Georgie Boy, George Lazenby. He was one that only was on for one.
Okay. Well, it's probably him then.
Yeah, it probably is. Yeah. Pierce is great though. That's all we need.
Yeah, I love Piers Morgan. Piers Morgan? No, I don't love Piers Morgan. Sorry. Piers Brosnan. Oh no, what a terrible mistake to make.
Can you imagine if he was the next Bond?
No. Oh my goodness. Oh, all right.
It's all right, we'll edit this out, don't worry, it's all right.
Please do. Oh my gosh, how could that sentence even leave my mouth? Okay, we need to move on.
Move on very rapidly, shall we?
Oh my gosh.
Oh no, I just think, you know what, I just think it's so worth, and this goes for any time, but particularly if there's a great film to go and watch as well, but I just think it's so worth singing praises for, you know, for women and relationships between women as well, because women have to put up with so much, don't they, in society, let's face it.
Absolutely, and again, the female solidarity is really important, you know, the fact that we can support each other, whether we're related, whether we're not, you know, I just think that it's, for me, all of my relationships with females are so important, and I really do encourage it, and I like to be a positive female in other people's lives as well, and so, it's great, and as I said, Mamma Mia really does kind of hone in on that and the importance of that, and it's a romantic comedy, you've got music, it's an actual musical, especially in these times. I just think it's just perfect viewing and perfect timing, and I'm just so excited for Friday.
Oh, absolutely. Well, we'll definitely be going to see, even if it is just so my partner can see Colin Firth again. That's all right.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Yeah. Now then, Jamelia, I'll let you go, but I just wanted to close up actually by asking you, and this is a very tough question. Well, it might be tough, I don't know. Okay. But I would just like to play a little song actually to accompany your appearance in it. Now, of course, Superstar is going to be on, but I would also just do you have a favourite ABBA song? I think maybe we could play it, in honour of Mamma Mia.
Oh,
it's tough though, isn't it? Because
the thing is that there's so many. Do you know? Okay, this is going to seem a bit weird. I've got a song called Money, and I love their song, Money, Money, Money. Oh, yeah. I love that one. So, let's play that one.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah, definitely. Well, Jamelia, thanks so much, honestly, for your time today. It's been great chatting to you.
No
really,
problem.
really fun.
Lovely speaking to you too. Thanks so much for having me.
No problem at all. Bye, Jamelia. Thank you.
Take care.
It's a rich man's world.
Let's see if...
Hello.
Hello, mate. How are you doing, sir?
Oh, no.
Sir, I just want to say, and this is all anonymous, so don't you worry, but you are a fantastic man. But I was wondering, mate, if I could play you a song, actually, today. Have you got any songs off the top of your head that I can play for you?
Songs off my head. It's quite early.
What about, you can have anything. I had a bit of Dio on the playlist, Holy Diver. Could have some Trivium if you want. Could have, Govinda requested Barbie Girl, so you can beat that probably.
Oh, Govinda, what a lad.
Yeah.
Let's go with something a bit tamer and a bit more chilled. Something like, what's it called? It's called Better Than by John Butler Trio. There you go.
Nice. Well, I'll get that on.
You can find it.
What did you say, mate? You're Beautiful by James Blunt. Did you just say that? No, mate. That's a great. Well, I'll get it on for you, mate. I'll get it straight on for you, but. Just because, just preparing for your appearance in the show, I actually chose you a little theme tune. Is that all right?
Okay. Does it involve dogs by any chance?
No, it doesn't. Shall I play it for you? If you stay on the line just for a sec, you might be able to hear this. Hang on.
Yeah.
Let's get it on for you. Here we go. You can hear some drums. Soon you'll know what this is, I hope. Now let's get... Oh, yeah, it's great, isn't it?
Yeah.
All right, who is in the mood for a little bit of science now? Yeah, you all are. I know. You're saying, yes, Ben, I am ready. Okay, well, now I would love to welcome to the show Professor Dave Hosken, who today is explaining the mysterious concept in the biological sciences of sexual selection. See what I did there? That song linked really nicely in, didn't it? Because it had sexual in the title. No, it wasn't very good, was it? Anyway, well, let's get Dave on, shall we? So this is fantastic. We've got Dave solo today. You might have heard Dave before in discussion with Sasha, but Dave today is solo. We will also be asking Dave why he became a biologist. Hope you enjoy this. Thursday breakfast on Source FM. So, Dave, we've got you again, which I'm very pleased about. Welcome back. So, thinking about concepts in biology, everyone's heard natural selection, and presumably has quite a good understanding of what that is. But what on earth is sexual selection? What's this about?
Yeah, so natural selection, shorthand for natural selection, you might think of as differential survival in relation to phenotype. So that means how an animal looks or behaves is going to determine whether or not it survives. And so, for example, you might imagine that taller individuals are better at running, and so get eaten less by lions. So there's differential survival with respect to animal height. That would be natural selection. Sexual selection is a little less intuitive, and I think it's Darwin's greatest idea because it is less intuitive. And it's one that Wallace, from memory, did not intuit in the same way that Darwin did. And it's basically that sexual competition, how you look and how you behave, can determine how good a sexual competitor you are. And that can then have the same effects as natural selection in terms of what it does at a population level. So different individuals survive and different individuals can survive to reproduce. And it's the reproduction part that really is what sexual selection focuses on. What's interesting is that the characteristics that are favoured by sexual selection aren't always the same characteristics that are favoured by natural selection. So in some senses, natural selection and sexual selection can be seen to oppose each other. So if we think about peacock's tails, which is the classic example of a sexually selected trait, a peacock's tail is expensive to build. It almost certainly doesn't help peacocks escape from predators. But if you haven't got a peacock's tail and you're a peacock, you're not going to have a partner to mate with, and so you won't leave any offspring. So natural selection is probably pushing peacocks' tails to be smaller. Sexual selection is pushing peacocks' tails to be bigger, and that's where we sit.
And I think something related to that, which people might have picked up on already, and perhaps already thought about this being a bit odd, is that if you look in nature, it's very often, and I know you've kind of done some work on this recently as well, very often you'll find that it's the males who have these kind of grand ornaments, whereas females don't. Why is that?
That has its roots in supply and demand, a basic economic principle. You know, if there's not much demand but lots of supply, then prices are cheap, and conversely. So males make sperm. Any individual male, on average, could fertilise hundreds, if not millions, of eggs. Females make fewer eggs, so that means that any individual male could effectively sire all the offspring of large numbers of females on average. So that means sperm are in oversupply, eggs are in undersupply. That means females can afford to be really choosy. They're effectively the buyers in this marketplace. And males have got to compete for females' attention. They've got to compete for access to females' eggs. And that means they've got to go to ever more ridiculous lengths to attract, coerce, appease females, whatever it is that females' sensory systems require to be stimulated. And so males end up being, the sort of, on average, the more gaudy, show-offy sex, and females, on average, tend to be the choosier sex. Now, that doesn't mean that males aren't choosy to some extent. That doesn't mean that females aren't competitive to some extent. And in some species, it's completely sex role reversed. So the males are doing all the choosing and the females are doing all the competing. But on average, across the animal kingdom, males are much more competitive and much more showy-offy for females' attention, and females on average are much choosier. And it goes back to that fundamental principle. There's lots and lots of sperm around, so sperm are available in excess. Eggs are relatively rare. That means females can be choosy.
So in one sense, it might be, now that you've kind of nicely explained that, it might then suddenly become really obvious why a female doesn't do that, because if a female did, say, attract even more attention than it already gets, sort of thing, that might kind of almost classify as like this kind of a male harassment thing that you sometimes see in species.
Yeah, there's a whole bunch of reasons why females tend not to be showy. One of them is, of course, that you might attract more attention than you'd like. But at a very fundamental level, if a female invested in a peacock's tail, that's energy that she can't invest in eggs, so she's effectively wasting egg energy on building a big tail that she doesn't need, because there's always going to be a male that will want to copulate with a female. So there's no point in wasting any energy on stupid displays when the best thing you can do with your investment is put it into eggs and produce more offspring. So at a fundamental level, it's about where you best spend your limited resources. And in some senses, all of this can be understood through those really basic sort of economic principles, if you like, that most people are probably familiar with.
That's really interesting. I think it's really nice for people to think about it in that kind of light, right? The kind of trade-off scenario, because obviously that is something so crucial to understanding pretty much anything in ecology, isn't it? You know, there's always a trade-off. I guess it explains straight off the bat almost why you don't see, because you know sometimes people who might not necessarily have any formal biology training might be confused about, okay, why are there so many species? Why isn't there just kind of one grand species that's good at everything? Because of course there are these trade-offs involved.
No, absolutely. And the you know, if there were no trade-offs, exactly as you say, there would be one perfect species and there'd be no biodiversity. You'd have something that reproduced instantaneously and had an infinite number of offspring and would live forever, the Darwinian demon. But, you know, it's really hard to be an excellent swimmer and an excellent flyer. You know, penguins are the best bird swimmer and they can't fly. It's really hard to be a super fast runner and be really big and heavy. You know, cheetahs are really lightly built compared to a lion. So you can't be good at everything. Everything in some sense is jack of all trades, because it's doing the best it can to fill in a space, an ecological space. And because there's a million different ways to skin a cat, there's a million different ways to make a living. Again, go back to economic principles. You know, you can be a shoemaker, you can be a hairdresser, you can be a car mechanic, you can be a scientist. There's lots of different ways to make a living. But it's really hard to be a functional mechanic and to be a functional scientist, if only because the hours in the day don't allow you to do both things, and you probably need different skill sets.
Sure.
So those sort of things together, I guess, kind of explain why there's so much biodiversity, that it's really hard to be the best at everything, and there's lots of different ways to make a living, and so you find your little slot in that world. So in formal sense, there's lots of fitness peaks, and different species occupy different fitness peaks, which means that they're doing different things. And those different fitness peaks are defined by a whole series, a multivariate set of functional trade-offs between different phenotypic attributes.
So I don't know how you think about this, but to me it sounds like trade-offs could be, you know, if you'll allow me to get a bit daft, so coming back to something that we've chatted about on a previous show actually, but it sounds to me like trade-offs should be just so general that you would find them, you know, let's say we found life elsewhere in the universe, presumably they should also be bound by trade-offs like this. I mean, we had an entertaining example of chatting with a guest on a previous show about you know, aliens from the film Alien. Obviously, you know, they're kind of portrayed as these perfect organisms, aren't they? They're really fast growing, but they're also really strong, and all of this. It seems like they haven't been bound by these trade-offs. So basically,
well, they might have weak immune systems.
Sure, something like that. Yeah.
You know, and that's the classic War of the Worlds, isn't it? You know, we're being invaded by these things, but they'd never been exposed to earth-bound pathogens, and so their immune system is not used to this world. And even though they're smarter than us, they build better machines than us. They're kicking our butts in this technological war. Our earthbound pathogens kill them, and it's not dissimilar to Europeans arriving in the New World. The native peoples of that New World were much better at living there than the Europeans were. They had, you know, fantastic societies doing all sorts of wonderful things, but the disease that was brought and exposed to them kicked them in the butt. So in some sense they were, you know, better adapted to the new world that they lived in, and it's not quite a trade-off, you know, because they weren't exposed to that. So maybe I'm taking that metaphor too far, but you can kind of see the point, I hope. Trade-offs aren't quite like that in a real sense, in terms of that new world sense, because those individuals in the new world hadn't been exposed to those pathogens, so their immune systems had never had the need to do anything against them. But the alien metaphor probably stands some test of logic. It's invested in all sorts of stuff, and in my hypothetical world, it hasn't invested in an immune system because out in space there's not many pathogens.
Well, awesome, mate. Thanks for your time, Dave. I'm aware that we'll have to let you go very shortly,
No
but
problem.
I'd just really like to wrap up, if you do have just a minute more,
Sure.
just to wrap up really by just your reasons behind going into science, because I don't think we've really explored this with yourself or Sasha. But just, do you have anything obvious that drove you into science in the first place, or was it? I guess it might just be one of those things that you always, had a drive for. Tough one, isn't it?
It's a whole bunch of things. So, I liked biology. I loved watching David Attenborough documentaries. At school, I was okay at biology, and I serendipitously had teachers at university that made me excited about why questions. And I ended up going to university because, having worked as a labourer for a whole bunch of time, I realised that that's a job for young men, and we inevitably get old. So, there's a whole bunch of things that sort of converged. So there wasn't any one thing. But I do really love the contemplative nature of being an evolutionary biologist. I really love the luxury of being able to ruminate on why we're here and what it all means. Why are there two sexes for most things? Why not a million? Why do we get old when we can build ourselves from scratch in the first place? Why do things wear out? All of those sorts of things I find really super fascinating, and to be able to contemplate the complicated life forms that have evolved on this planet and the complicated ways they all fit together and the way it all works is super fun, really fun.
That's fantastic. I suppose in other professions it would be easy to forget just how grand the world out there is, in terms of all those questions that you kind of raised there, just how fascinating it all is. I'm sure it'd be easy to forget if you weren't in science.
Why are we
worth
here?
Remembering.
Right? Why are we here? Now we can invoke supernatural explanations, magic, or we can invoke rationality. So, I think rationality is a pretty cool tool. We use rationality for most of the stuff in our daily life. When we're sick, we don't go to a church or a mosque. We go to a doctor because there's something about science that we trust. There's something about that acquired knowledge that we trust. And so I spend my days using logic and rational thinking rather than revelation to think about why we're here in the world around us. So that's pretty cool fun.
Well, fantastic. Well, thanks very much for your time, Dave. I'll let you go. Song choice, though, and I'm going to leave it on just because this is a bit cruel, isn't it? I'm going to give you a song choice now.
Oh my God, this is brutal.
Yeah, sorry about
this. What's the
evil,
choice? What for what?
It's
just any song
just
at all?
to accompany your appearance on the show. I'm going to give you unlimited choice.
What's your listening audience?
Well, here's the thing. I mean, we tend to, I always promise this to guests that they can honestly choose. What my personal favourite, and you're going to be furious with this, I'm sure, is Rod Stewart. But I'm not going to subject you to that.
Oh my God! Please don't subject me to that. So, is it easy listening, or so? Iggy Pop and the Stooges, Down on the Street.
Fantastic. Yeah, there we have it. Done. Thank you very much, Dave. Great stuff. Well, thanks again to Prof Dave Hosken for coming on the show again with us. Now, you might not know this, but Dave, as well as being an evolutionary biologist, professor, academic, he is also a talented musician. Did you know that? You know what? He might be a bit cross with this, but I am going to have to get on one of his tracks. This is Dave on the vocals here. This is great. This is a track called Deathly Hollow Tree. Hope you enjoy this.
Like a goddess by a hollow tree,
bathing by a river, trying not to notice me. Well, who's fooling who? Why no one, it seems. Betrayed by a furtive glance, see sun and heartache for me. And now that it's over, now that we're older, and deathly hollow tree, dust and flies on me. Betrayed by a furtive glance, see sun and heartache for me. Dawn comes early, cold and damp with dew. Smiling, laughing coffee, and awe-inspiring beauty too. Well, who's fooling who? Why no one, it seems. Betrayed by a furtive glance, see sun and heartache for me. And now that it's over, now that we're older, deathly hollow tree, dust and flies on me. Betrayed by a furtive glance, see sun and heartache for me. Aching back returns once more, burning rays I can't ignore. Second time around once more, second time around. Love that happened found. Betrayed by a furtive glance, see sun and heartache for me. Now that it's over, now that we're older, and deathly hollow tree, dust and flies on me. Betrayed by a furtive glance, see sun and heartache for me. Now that we're older, now that it's over, deathly hollow tree, dust and flies on me. Betrayed by a furtive glance, see sun and heartache for me. Betrayed by a furtive glance, see sun and heartache for me.
Great stuff. Now, if you want to hear more music like that, then you should definitely check out our music special on Catch Up. Yeah, that's right. I've got to this stage. I'm afraid I'm going to, plug my own stuff. Yeah, I'm sorry about that. And there's plenty more Dave as well. So thanks again for Dave for coming on the show again with us today. There's plenty more of Dave discussing various science topics, various science issues on previous shows as well. So, yeah, if you wouldn't mind, pop yourself on the old Catch Up. Yep. Such an epic song, right? Right, it is coming towards the end of the show. I do have one more interview for you, though, this morning with two, not one, but two authors. So I hope you're looking forward to that. We also get a little bit of an insight into the life of an author, if you ever wondered. And also, if you are a budding author yourself, if you're a budding writer yourself, then this might be of great interest to you. So Amazon have this Kindle Storyteller Award, okay? This comes with a 20k gift, so not that bad, right? So if you are a budding writer, this is a perfect time to look into this to publish, essentially. So we've got two authors on the show. Louise Ross, also known as L.J. Ross, that's her pen name. She's the author of the best-selling DCI Ryan series of this is kind of romantic thriller crime books, which are fantastic, and also David Leadbeater, who actually won this Kindle Storyteller Award last year with his Matt Drake series. So this is fantastic. We will be chatting to them very soon. A couple more songs for you as well. So today we will be closing up around 9:15. Okay, so yes, I know what you're thinking, Ben. Woohoo! We get you for a bit longer today. I know, amazing, isn't it? Now you know what? I have received word that some people don't think that Zeus the Gecko... This is totally random, but never mind. Zeus the Gecko, because I have a crested gecko, he's called Zeus, he's awesome. They don't think he's cute. So, I had a little interview with an ex-Love Island contestant a while ago. Ex-Love Island contestant, mainly because we're not Radio 1 and we couldn't grab a current one, but I'm sure you'll forgive me, right? I have a 1.74 seconds clip from that interview, and it's the best part of the interview because this is going to shut down all the haters who don't like geckos, all right? So if you're listening and you don't like geckos, take it from Gabby Allen, ex-Love Island contestant, right? Here we go. Well, I don't know why I'm doing this. 1.74 seconds of airtime, yeah, this is all we can manage. It's all we could manage here at Source, but here you are. Here it is.
Oh, that is so cute.
Yeah? See? So cute. What am I doing? This is making me sound totally ridiculous. I'm sorry. Right, okay, I tell you what. I'm going to get maybe this interview on with the authors, and then, straight after that, we will get a few tracks on. How about that? Does that sound all right? Yeah? All right, let's do that.
The thing about a creative industry like writing is all those setbacks actually is really great material to work with.
Yes.
Because, you just take it forward, and I think it makes you a better writer to have, lived a bit of life and had a bit of that experience.
Yeah, absolutely. And I was just actually really interested to read here, actually, that... even, the kind of world-famous authors like J.K. Rowling and things, and Stephen King as well, both suffered an enormous number of setbacks before they managed to publish their work, which is, you think about that, you think, well, it's no wonder that, anyone experiences setbacks.
It's a testament to their resilience that they did come out on top in the end. I think that's one thing where the Kindle Direct publishing platform works in that anybody can publish on there. It's quite easy, and you can make some decent money off it.
I think that's a good thing about reviews as well, is that because you're seeing that instant feedback, and whether it be through through the website on Amazon or through social media or sometimes an email, it's great because you are able to take that on board and sift through it and use it to become better at what you do a lot faster.
Yes.
Because if it's in a sort of maybe the old case, which was that every now and again you might get some feedback and you could choose what to do with it, that would take much longer as a process to become a better writer, I think, whereas nowadays something is so instant, you can really use that to your advantage and tighten up your writing style or do whatever's necessary to get better at what you do.
It's actually really, I hadn't considered that, but from a writer's perspective, then services like Amazon are actually ideal for that, aren't they? Not only obviously to get your work out there, but also, as you say, because you get that more instant feedback. People can literally go on there straight after they've bought it and give you a rating, can't they? And write comments and all this kind of thing.
And the vast majority of people are incredibly positive, I would say. And that's kind of testament to, I would say, our population. That we're a kind bunch of people, and that really comes through. I don't know about you, Dave.
Yeah, no, a constructive review is the best review.
Yes.
And if anything is wrong with the book, if you've overlooked anything, then you can always go in and change it as well, which is another good thing about publishing on the Kindle.
Yes, fantastic. Well, Louise, I know for that your character DCI Ryan. Now, of course, he visits Northumberland, which I believe is your hometown, is your home area.
Yeah,
But
right, yeah.
I would just like to make one suggestion. He should definitely come and visit Cornwall.
Oh, well, actually, my family lived down there for about 7 years.
Really?
I'm a big fan of the Cornwall area, so maybe he needs to go on a holiday.
Oh, fantastic! Yeah, you could do like a kind of vacation special. It's just not a lot happens. He's just on holiday in Cornwall, quite happy.
Definitely St. Ives. This is where Ryan is journey.
And David, for you, the Isles of Scilly, perfect kind of. I know you're kind of an archaeological thriller kind of Matt Drake series. Perfect there, because it's actually, you know what, interesting thing here. One of my colleagues is doing a PhD in archaeology here at the Uni of Exeter, and they work on, I had no idea that this was I had no idea you could even work on this, right? But they work on weaponry that have been discovered on the Isles of Scilly. How cool is that?
Oh, that's cool. There's always a story with archaeology and new things being dug up all the time. So it's such
Yes.
a great genre to be able to write it.
Yeah, Ryan and Drake and archaeological mystery.
Cross genre.
Yeah.
That'd be great, wouldn't it? They could both team up for a case. It'd be fantastic. I'm just really interested as well. I mean, obviously, if you're not comfortable talking about this, then absolutely no worries at all. But I would just be really interested to hear from your own point of view. You know, being published via the Amazon service, and doing extremely well on there. I'd just really be interested to kind of hear about your kind of, I don't know, your kind of creative process. I mean, you know, when you're kind of researching and writing, I'm assuming that both, because of course both series, I'm imagining, take an awful lot of research to portray those characters.
True. I mean, I'd say it probably doesn't differ too much however you choose to publish. Actually, I mean, I think the difference is that you're not bound by very long publishing schedules.
Yes.
So long as you've gone through your, as you say, your creative process, you've researched what you need to, you've actually written the book, and from my side of things, I know it's time to hand it over to the editor when I can't stand the sight of it anymore. And I hand it over, and it goes through its editorial process, and it's exactly the same full editorial process that any book would go through. And then, you know, by that stage, it's really a case of, so long as you have all of the other elements in place, all of your copy, all of the cover, and you know, all of the same sort of packaging that you would put into any book, it's more or less then up to you as to when you would like to publish it, you know. You're not really at the mercy of any other wider scheduling, which I think works very much to our advantage as writers, because, you know, you can manage your own schedule and be your own boss in that way, you know, which is very freeing.
Fantastic. Yeah, I was wondering actually as well. I can't believe it. This is a bit of an unfair question, but I was hoping, you know, do you have any kind of particular rituals you like to do when you are going to sit, right? You say, you know, I'm going to sit down, I'm going to do some writing, because I know, I just think about Roald Dahl's famous insane little writing shed. I don't know if you've seen pictures of that.
No, there's no particular ritual. I mean, I do take my children to school, and then I sit down and write, and I write until 3 o'clock when I go and pick them up. Yes. So that's pretty much the only ritual I have.
It sounds a very professional ritual.
Just work around the kids.
Yes.
I have what, it's not so much a ritual, but I do have my lucky hat.
Yeah.
It's actually a completely tasteless neon green Vegas sort of gambling hat that I picked up on a holiday to Vegas years ago, and it's whenever I'm writing a really dark scene, I put it on and then I take it off again, and I'm back to being normal.
Genius.
Keeps you safe.
Oh, that's fantastic. I suppose just to, obviously I won't keep you for too long this morning, I'm aware of your time, but David, I mean, obviously, you know, winning the Storyteller Award, I was just wondering if you could kind of, I don't know, perhaps outline the award a little bit to us, and I'm sure, you know, if it's kind of changed your process at all after winning the award. You know, I imagine it was probably quite nice to receive that, because it's kind of a message, a clear message to you, isn't it? Look, keep going, it's great.
Yeah. It was a major shock to win the award, and it opened up a new world of opportunity. You win a prize of £20,000. You have access to a mentor who helps with marketing, advertising, or anything any question that you want, really. You get a marketing campaign from Amazon themselves, which helps sell books and give you a higher profile. And you get a translation, which mine will be translated into German, my book, early next year. So you do really get a good package and a higher profile all around.
Fantastic. One thing I noticed actually, and obviously I'm not sure if this is at all relevant to what you've just said there, but I noticed that all of the books themselves and the cover images are really beautiful actually for both of your sets of novels. They look really, really kind of aesthetically attractive as well. I think it's really nice.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I think they do have to stand out in their genre. They have to stay in the same genre. You have to know what the readers really need to know what they're buying. But so long as they stand out, then that's
yeah, I mean, I think that's a good point just for anyone who's thinking about entering, that when you are creating your book, just there are certain tropes to consider with a mystery or a crime novel like mine, for example. You know, they don't want to be buying a book that looks like a romance novel and then find that it's crime, because that's sort of misleading. So, you know, I would suggest to people to go online and have a look at the bestseller charts and see the types of covers that are being used for the types of books that are most similar to theirs, because that gives them a really good yardstick to kind of see where they're going. But I mean, things like editors, cover designers, it's basically entirely up to the individual how much they want to put into something. But what I would say is, you know, you tend to get out what you put in, you know, so try to get a decent editor, try to sort of invest. If things like graphic design aren't your forte, then hire a cover editor. There's so much available out there on a freelance basis, and many people work for you know, the big publishers as well as doing all kinds of independent books. So there's a lot of crossover in the industry. So I would say that you can really produce a quality product and a quality book for people to read if you are thinking about entering.
Oh, that's fantastic. Well, you know, I really do thank both of you for coming on the show today to chat about this. I think it's you know, absolutely fantastic to get this out there for anyone who might be there thinking, you know, perhaps someone who's there who's always thought that, you know, in an ideal world they would become a writer, but really, you know, as we've both been saying, as we've been chatting about this morning, it certainly is possible for people, isn't it? And you know, this might be a great first step for people to take, or even just, you know, a kick to think, okay, I'm really gonna try hard at this now.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think the great thing about this award is so democratic. You know, it's open to absolutely anybody. It doesn't matter your background. It doesn't matter whether you think of yourself as a writer or not. You know, if you have a story to tell, there are no barriers to this. And half of the problem is that confidence to just put yourself out there and give it a go. And that's what's so wonderful about this. There's absolutely no barrier in place.
No drawbacks. Just if you ever wanted to write, now is a good time to publish your book.
That's fantastic. So in terms of if people, you know, and I do urge anyone out there listening who this might be interesting to get involved, but I assume people can probably very simply find this just through a quick Google, basically, the Kindle Storyteller Award.
Yeah, definitely. Or if you go onto the Amazon store, you can also search Kindle Storyteller 2018 as well, and all the T's and C's are on there. Fantastic.
Now, very last question to both of you. If you've got anything you'd like to add, though, then please do feel very welcome indeed. But I would like to finish on a bit of a daft question. I'd just like to give you both a little song request, actually. You know, and you know we're talking about rituals, and I know about the hat, Louise, which is pretty cool, yeah. I must say. But I wonder if you have any do you have any songs that help you get in the creative process at all, or anything like that? Or if not, just a favourite song. I'll get it on for you.
Mine change all the time.
Yes.
At the moment, I'm very much into The Greatest Showman. So some of the songs from that are so uplifting. From now on, it's just such an uplifting song that I play it in the car and it just puts me in a good mood.
Oh, fantastic. Well, I'll get one of those on then for you, David. That sounds ideal. And what about yourself, Louise?
Well, at the minute I'm listening to all my old indie favourites. So 1979 by the Smashing Pumpkins.
Oh, nice. Okay, fantastic. Two excellent choices there. Well, thank you very much for your time. I'll let you go, unless, of course, there is anything that you wanted to add.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Excellent. Well, thanks for your time, and I'll let you go. Thanks for your time.
Cheers.
All right, thanks very much.
Well, that's it. Thank you very much indeed for joining me this morning on your Source FM Thursday morning breakfast show with Ben Makin. Thank you very much. I just want to thank all of my very special guests for today as well. Thank you to former England cricketer Ebony Rainford-Brent. Thank you to popstar Jamelia. That was fantastic having you on. Thank you to the two authors we just heard from just now, Louise Ross, L.J. Ross and David Leadbeater. Thanks very much to Professor Dave Hosken for coming on the show again to discuss the mysterious concept today of sexual selection. And thank you very much indeed, and this is the biggest thank you of them all, as always, is to you. Thank you very much for joining me. Really hope you enjoyed the show, and don't be shy. Get your requests to me next time.